This is CBS News weather producer David Parkinson here to tell us more about the storm. Okay, where do we stand and what should we expect?
So we're standing with the back end of the storm moving to the north. So if you had a day of it in Philly, it's done now. It is done for pretty much the entire state of Pennsylvania. It's done for at least half of New Jersey, and it's going to continue to move off to the north and east. But this is Connecticut and Massachusetts time in the barrel, so to speak. And Connecticut in particular has some thunder snow. We're seeing it right here with all the lightning strikes that you're seeing on the map over the last half hour all along the south shore of Connecticut, from Groton to New Haven back over towards Bridgeport. There were thunder snow reports all along there, and so that shows you there was really intense snowfall still to come. But in terms of what's already fallen, we've had some pretty specifically great numbers. In Caldwell, we had 19 inches. Monroe,
great if you're not shoveling.
Well, yes, that's true. Monroe at 16, yeah, it's perspective, I suppose. Yeah. Monroe at 16, New Fairfield at 13, Broomall at 12, and Greenville at 10. That's the most in each state there. So that's the high end. The low end does fall off pretty well because we had some of those banding things. But all in all, a pretty healthy snow total, especially for the middle of March.
And the totals are great if you're sledding. Yes. And how do those totals compare to what we expected?
So it's a lot of what we were thinking in terms of the banding. That has held true. So, you know, that Caldwell number of 19 inches, Caldwell is 16 miles from Manhattan. Manhattan is barely getting 4 inches of snow right now. It's a tight gradient, and we have those super tight bands of intense snowfall, 2 to 3 inches per hour. So we were thinking that some places could get an extra 4 to 8 on top of what we were forecasting, and that's exactly what happened in some of those spots, and that's what we're expecting to see as we go up into Massachusetts and Connecticut.
We saw Chris Van Cleve talk about thousands of flights canceled. We saw the flooding that DeMarco reported on. What about this nor'easter has made it so tricky for travel?
Well, so the key thing with this nor'easter is you add the intensity of the snowfall, the decreased visibility, and then you add the wet, heavy snow, right? So that it's snow that you're going to slide on. It's got a high moisture content. It'll freeze. All of those things make travel especially tricky, and that's also what's bringing down some of the trees, because the branches are just being so weighed down that a lot of the reasons you're having travel delays is because you can't get through on the roads because there are trees covering the roads. People sat on the Schuylkill Expressway for 2 or 3 hours in Pennsylvania because there were trees down, and that's what's really been causing the problems.
And does it get better? What do we expect from here?
Yeah, I think it does get better. So here's the deal. The intense banding is going to start to wind down. It's moving to the north, so it's going to move through Connecticut for the next couple of hours, and then it's going to move into Massachusetts in the overnight hours. And by the time we hit 7 a.m., it's starting to move out of here. So here's 11 p.m. The back end of the snow is in New York. The heaviest snow is now making it into the Boston area, I would say outside of 128, and even Connecticut's still in some heavy snow. Then, as we move to about midnight, there you go. That's the back line for New York. Into the morning hours, though, that's when things get a lot better for the New York metro area, but things are still going on in the Boston area. The snow continues to 7 a.m. You've got snow on the north coast, out west of, let's say, Leominster and Fitchburg and places like that, and then even down along the coast, and then it's northern New England tacking on a couple of extra inches into the afternoon, but all the major metro areas are done, and I think the flights start returning to normal. That's the good news, but we've got a couple more hours of really intense stuff, and then we'll start to taper back during the night.
And the ski slopes in New England won't mind.
I mean, it's going to look, it's fantastic. If you're going to a Stratton, a Mount Snow, a Jiminy, any of those places, they could see 20 inches of snow from this storm on top of 14 that they got on the last one. It is a rare treat of new, fresh snow for the Northeast in March.
Okay, David Parkinson, thanks.
Sure.